Any doubt in your part that Iran would have to give the go-ahead for Hezbollah to move in the north? And what do you think their calculation is?
No, Paul, there's no doubt. I mean, Iran controls Hezbollah. Iran heavily influences and directs Hamas, and Hezbollah will not go without clear Iranian direction. The calculus from the supreme leader of Iran, Ali Khamenei, will be, is this the opportunity to launch a full-scale war against Israel and rain down on Israel hundreds of thousands of Hezbollah missiles, as well as sending Hezbollah terrorists to murder Israelis in northern communities.
And that militia in the north has those missiles are much more precise, I gather, and could be and there's a lot more of them, so they could be deadlier than the Gazan rockets, which are imprecise and are intercepted by the Iron Dome. Is that correct?
That is correct. So Iran has armed Hezbollah not only with hundreds of thousands of missiles, but also precision-guided munitions, which make these missiles much more dangerous, and they're able to strike at infrastructure and civilian centers in Israel and evade Israel's air defenses.
So what do you think so far? What do you make of the Biden administration's message of deterrence to Iran, not to trigger this second front in the north? Hasn't been strong enough.
I don't think it has, Paul. I mean, it's one thing to put Iran on notice. It's another thing to direct Ali Khamenei's attention that if he unleashes Hezbollah, that the United States will unleash its power. And I got to tell you, Paul, I mean, I've been on the phone with U.S. government officials all week, and the Biden administration hasn't even directed the U.S. Treasury Department or the Department of Justice or the State Department to use overwhelming sanctions against the regime in Iran, to deny it the resources that it needs to continue providing $1 billion a year to Hezbollah, Hamas, and Palestinian Islamic Jihad.
Let's talk about the refugees, the Gazans who are being told to clear out of the north in Gaza. There's a crossing in Egypt that could be open where they could flow through, but Egypt has not opened them. Should the U.S. be putting pressure on Egypt to open that crossing and take in these refugees?
Look, absolutely. I mean, there's a border with Egypt, the Sinai Desert. There's a lot of space there to hold these Palestinians. But I think the pressure also needs to be put on the 5 countries that have funded and weaponized and supported Hamas over the years, and that is Turkey and Qatar, Kuwait, Algeria, also Malaysia, and of course Iran as a 6th country that have been responsible for this bloodshed. Those countries should be taking in Palestinians. It's very easy for boats to take Palestinians from the Sinai on the Red Sea and to these countries where they can be given support and services.
I guess that why is Egypt reluctant to open that crossing? One reason, I suppose, is that they're no friend of Hamas. Because it's been allied with the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, which tried to set up an Islamic regime in Egypt not too long ago. What's the thinking of Egyptian President al-Sisi?
No, that's exactly right. I mean, the Egyptian government understands that if they were to let Palestinians into the Sinai, Hamas might flow in terrorists and weapons and have those weapons and terrorists directed against the Egyptian government. Because again, as you said, Hamas is the Palestinian affiliate of the Muslim Brotherhood. The Muslim Brotherhood is a government that has represented a significant threat to Egyptian interests for many years.
Well, what can the U.S. do? We provide, $3 billion in aid to Egypt or something like that. That should be some leverage. And what about the United Nations? They have the capacity that we support with money to set up refugee camps that perhaps could be set up that could be there and vet the Hamas fighters if they come out.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, actually, there's a dedicated UN agency called the UN Refugee and Works Agency, UNRWA, which is dedicated only to Palestinians. This agency has played a terrible role in the past in helping radicalize Palestinians, providing deeply anti-Semitic words in Palestinian textbooks, and they should be forced now to do something positive. And actually, all the billions of dollars that the international community provides UNRWA should be used to take care of these Palestinians. The Egyptians, again, can provide a human corridor, a humanitarian corridor, and they can be loaded onto boats and they can be sent to countries, the very countries that I mentioned earlier, that have done the most to create Hamas, weaponize Hamas, and finance Hamas.
All right. Just quickly, Mark, if Iran does open up a second front in the north, should the U.S. be prepared to strike militarily against Iran and Hezbollah?
Look, I think that the Israelis can take care of the southern front and the northern front. What the Biden administration needs to do is give Israel the permission to use overwhelming force against Hezbollah. Otherwise, those hundreds of thousands of missiles, including precision-guided missiles, will destroy Israeli population centers. And President Biden needs to direct his government to begin a comprehensive campaign against the regime in Iran, using all tools of financial warfare to deny the resources this regime has to continue to support these terrorist organizations. Otherwise, the supreme leader in Iran will believe that he has full impunity to continue doing what he's done. And unfortunately, that has been the message from the Biden administration over the past 3 years through their Iran policy.
All right, Mark Dubowitz, thanks so much for joining us.